All right, Adam here, and we're going to talk about problem number two. This is a very difficult problem to recognize, but I'm going to show you how to do it. So if you see a lot of red on your player exposures, there's something that we can do to quickly see if the problem is a salary cap constraint. Let me show you this. So when we do our player breakdown, I kind of just thumb through it, right? Always start with quarterback when I have problems, but I always am curious, like what other positions are out there? What are the problems? And I'm seeing problems all over the place, right? I'm even seeing problems in like defense. That's when you know something weird is up. And what I want to do here is I actually want to sort. This is a trick I've learned. It's like a quick thing to see like how bad things are. And what I want to do is I want to actually sort by salary. So I'm actually going to go to all and I'm going to sort by salary. And you're going to quickly see that, oh my, got 6% CD Lamb. And in this lineup, I said 50%, or in this roster said 50%. Like, wow, that's really low. But look who else is low. Tyreek's lower, Jefferson's lower, JT's lower. You noticing a pattern here? Like, all the people who are real low are the high price guys, and they're having to be made up. And there's red here where it's like the lower price guys have more exposure. Whenever you see this, and even like Trey McBride, which I had a high exposure to, but he's under, and that was made up for by a little bit higher on Kellen Granson. What this means is you have a salary problem. You are spending too much in your salary for the rostership that you're asking for. This is why if I go to the canvas, this number is so important. Your average salary per roster, given your constraints or given your exposures to each player, averages $53,282 per roster. That's like giving an extra $3,200 per roster. That's the opposite of bottom up build, right? It's like I get 3,000 extra to do whatever I want. No, you don't. And the optimizer, the Bink Machine, is nice enough to tell you I have to stay in my constraint of 50,000. That's like that's table stakes. I cannot change that. Otherwise, I'll give you a invalid DraftKings lineup. And so the Bink Machine is effectively telling you it had to make some really hard concessions, like what was it, CD Lamb 4%? What was it? CD Lamb 6%, or you wanted 50%. You had to make some really hard choices. And his choices are I've got to remove the high priced guys so I can fit the salary cap. So you got to fix this. And the best way to fix it, and the way you know that you're fixing it, is we talked about this in a previous video, but this is seeing it in action, right? I just want whatever I want. In fact, when I added Devontae Adams, I added 14 to fix the Gardner Minshew in the previous problem. I took it away from Darnell Mooney, so I even made the situation worse from a salary standpoint. So to solve this, you're actually going to have to go in and and do some magic. So I'm actually going to try to do this real time, see how this works. And this isn't what I would actually want. I'd have to finagle the data more, but I'm actually going to say, hey, CD Lamb, let's see. I'm going to get the numbers to actually match for the receivers, right? So CD Lamb, I'm going to go down to 10%. That means I've got to find 40% somewhere else. I'm actually going to go, I'm going to go low. Let's bump like Curtis Samuel 20%. And now I'll save Curtis Samuel. Let's bump Brian Thomas 20%. And let's bump Darnell Mooney 20%. Yeah, that sounds good. Oops, Brian Thomas 34. And so I'm back to 400. And you can immediately see, like, obviously you would rather play CeeDee Lamb than those two guys. But I've got my average salary down significantly. Let's see if I can make this a little bit more palpable for, I don't know, like Trey McBride. I think I had him at 38%. Let's get him down to like 12%. Or yeah, let's do it. Actually, let's do 8%. And so that was 30% lower. Let's make Kylan Granson 10% more, Dulcich 10% more, Juwan Johnson 10%. And let's see what our numbers look like. Ooh, we're in business. This looks a lot better. I think this is pretty good. Let's see if we can get lower. I'm going to put Tyreek Hill at 10%, so minus 8%, and I'll add 8% to someone else, to Adam Thielen. We're getting even closer. There's more magic you could do with this. I'll actually lower Jonathan Taylor. I'll get him to like 6%. And I'll give that 14% to Javonte. Now, look at that. My average is right at 50,000. All right. This is going to make it a little bit longer, but let me try to make those adjustments. I made the adjustments in my spreadsheet. Now let's see if I can do it in real time. See if I can remember all this, right? I made Jonathan Taylor 6%, so it's between 5 and 7. Oh, I'm actually, sorry, I want to do this here. I want to do this in players. So running back, Taylor, it changed it 5 to 7. And I gave it to, who did I give it to? I gave it to Javonte, right? I think I gave Javonte all of it. He's now 24. Yep. 22 to 26. Okay, wide receiver. I'm going to sort by salary here. And sort by salary. There we go. C-Lamb. I got it down to like 10%, right? So that was 8 to 12. 8 to 12. Tyreek, I got him down to 10% also. 8 to 12. I was able to leave that. And then who did let's see if I remember this. I think I ate Thielen. Let me do this. I'm going to hide max exposure or zero max exposure. That way I can just see the players that I am rostering. And I think I changed Adam Thielen. He was 12% before. Now he's 20. That was the trade with Tyreek, 18 to 22. And I did Brian Thomas. Brian Thomas is now 34%. So I'll give him, that was a bump from 32. It's 32 to 36. I'm going to give him, because it's a lot more percentage, I'm just going to give him a little more leeway. So I'll go 30 to 38. And who did I give it to? I gave a lot to Mooney. He's now 44%. And so I'm going to give him 40 to 40. I gave him like 20% of that. Okay. And then also in the tight ends, I lowered Trey McBride real low, right? If you remember that. And I got him to 8%. So I'll put him like 7 to 9. And I think up the lowest tight ends each by 10%. So Kylan was 14, so I'll go 12 to 16 here. Dulcich, 22 to 26. I'll give him a little bit of extra leeway, actually, 20 to 28. Average of 24 still, which matches this. And Juwan Johnson, I have him at 20%. I'll leave that there. Okay. Whew. I know I did that really fast because I don't want to bore you to tears. Feel free to slow that down. Normally, James says, play this at 1.5x. You might want to play that part where I'm actually adjusting at 0.5x. But let's see if I solved my problem with the salary. There are probably other problems. There actually are other problems, which I think I have at least one more problem that we need to solve in there. But I think we're going to solve our salary problem. There's going to be a lot less red. There might be other reds, but we'll see. So let's see what we got. Look at that. All right. I still have problems with quarterbacks. We need to go tinker around this and see what's up. But let me look at just my high price guys. So if I look at my high salaries, now these guys are all in line. Look at this running back. All the running backs in line. Brian Robinson's down just below. Like, no, that's not a big deal. Now my wide receiver room, I've got Nico's a little bit lower. Diggs is a little bit lower. When I see two Houston players that are lower, that is actually interesting. London's high. McLaurin's. These are other problems that we need to solve, I think. But the salary problem is solved. So I solved that. I think I solved that problem, which is really good. So the next lesson we'll keep going. We'll troubleshoot the next problem and see what pops up.